Communism of Poverty and Wives. In Plato's The Republic, he introduces the concept of communism of property and wives within his ideal society. These ideas are presented within the broader theme of the critique of democracy, as well as in discussions regarding women and guardianship and censorship. Here's an explanation. 1. Communism of property. Plato advocates for the abolition of private property among the guardian class in his ideal society. He argues that private ownership leads to inequality, conflict, and selfishness. Instead, he suggests that the guardians, who are responsible for ruling the city, should live a communal lifestyle where all property is shared in common. This ensures that the guardians remain focused on their duties to the state rather than pursuing personal wealth or power. 2. Communism of wives. Similarly, Plato proposes the idea of communism of wives among the guardian class. He suggests that in his ideal society, there should be no concept of family or monogamous marriage among the guardians. Instead, reproduction should be carefully controlled and managed by the state, with mating and child-rearing decisions made for the benefit of society as a whole. This ensures that the offspring of the guardians are raised collectively and are not influenced by individualistic familial ties. 3. Critique of democracy. Plato's advocacy for communism of property and wives can be seen as a critique of democracy, which he views as inherently flawed and prone to corruption. He believes that democracy leads to the rule of the masses, characterized by ignorance, demagoguery, and the pursuit of self-interest. By contrast, Plato argues for rule by philosopher kings, enlightened individuals who possess wisdom, virtue, and a genuine concern for the common good. 4. Women and guardianship. Plato's treatment of women in The Republic is controversial by modern standards. While he advocates for the equality of women in terms of their intellectual and moral capabilities, he also assigns them a subordinate role within his ideal society. Women are not allowed to serve as guardians or rulers. Instead, they are expected to fulfill domestic and reproductive roles. This reflects the patriarchal attitudes of ancient Greek society, where women were typically excluded from positions of political power and authority. 5. Censorship. In The Republic, Plato also discusses the idea of censorship as a means of controlling the flow of information and ideas within society. He advocates for the censorship of literature, art, and music that promote immoral or harmful values, believing that exposure to such works can corrupt individuals and undermine social stability. Plato argues that the state should regulate cultural expression to ensure that citizens are exposed only to content that promotes virtue and the common good. Overall, Plato's proposals for communism of property and wives, his critique of democracy, his treatment of women and guardianship, and his advocacy for censorship are all interconnected aspects of his broader vision for an ideal society governed by wisdom, virtue, and the pursuit of justice. While some of Plato's ideas may seem radical or impractical by modern standards, they reflect his profound concern for the well-being of society and his belief in the importance of moral and intellectual education.